Did you know that diverse teams are 35% more likely to outperform their competitors? Creating an inclusive workplace isn't just the right thing to do, it can actually boost your bottom line. Welcome to our video on fostering equity and inclusion in the workplace. As we all know, every individual deserves to feel valued, respected, and empowered to bring their unique perspectives and talents to the table. Unfortunately, many organizations still struggle to create an environment where everyone feels equal and included. That's why it's so important to prioritize equity and inclusion in the workplace. Not only is it a moral imperative, but it's also a business imperative. In today's competitive market, organizations need to attract and retain top talent, and that means creating a workplace culture that celebrates diversity and promotes inclusivity. So, what exactly do we mean by equity and inclusion? Simply put, equity is about creating fair and equal opportunities for everyone, regardless of their race, gender, age, or any other characteristic. Inclusion, on the other hand, is about creating an environment where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to contribute. Let's dive deeper into the challenges organizations face when trying to implement equity and inclusion initiatives. One of the biggest hurdles is unconscious bias. We all have biases, whether we realize it or not, and these biases can influence our decision-making and interactions with others. Sometimes these biases can be so ingrained that we're not even aware of them. For example, research has shown that job candidates with African American or Latino names are less likely to be hired than candidates with white names, even when all other qualifications are equal. Another challenge is resistance to change. Implementing equity and inclusion initiatives requires a fundamental shift in culture and mindset, and that can be uncomfortable for some people. It's natural to resist change, but it's essential to recognize that this resistance is often rooted in fear, ignorance, or privilege. Additionally, many organizations struggle to measure the success of their equity and inclusion initiatives. How do you quantify something as complex and multifaceted as culture? It's a tough question, but one that requires careful consideration and creative solutions. Another common challenge is ensuring that equity and inclusion initiatives are not just window dressing, but rather a genuine commitment to creating systemic change. It's easy to put up a diversity and inclusion statement on your website or hold a one-time training session, but true change requires a sustained effort and investment. It's also important to recognize that equity and inclusion initiatives are not a one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one organization may not work for another. Each organization has its unique culture, history, and challenges, and solutions must be tailored to these specific needs. Furthermore, implementing equity and inclusion initiatives requires a willingness to listen and learn from marginalized groups. This can be uncomfortable, especially for those in positions of power and privilege. However, it's essential to recognize that marginalized groups have valuable insights and perspectives that can inform and improve our initiatives. Another critical component of equity and inclusion initiatives is accountability. Organizations must be willing to hold themselves accountable for their actions and outcomes. This means setting clear goals and metrics, tracking progress, and making adjustments as needed. It's also important to recognize that equity and inclusion initiatives are not a destination, but rather a journey. Creating a more inclusive workplace requires ongoing effort and dedication, and it's essential to celebrate our successes along the way, no matter how small they may seem. Now, let's explore some strategies for fostering equity and inclusion in the workplace. One effective approach is training programs that focus on unconscious bias, cultural competence, and inclusive leadership. These programs can help employees recognize and overcome their biases, develop empathy and understanding, and become more effective allies. Another strategy is policy changes that promote equity and inclusion. This can include things like flexible work arrangements, family leave policies, and equal pay for equal work. These policies can help level the playing field and create a more inclusive work environment. Creating an inclusive company culture is also essential. This means fostering an environment where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to contribute. It's about creating a sense of belonging, where everyone feels like they're part of the team. In addition, organizations can create employee resource groups that provide a safe space for marginalized groups to connect, share their experiences, and support one another. These groups can be incredibly powerful in building a sense of community and promoting inclusion. Mentorship programs are another effective strategy for fostering equity and inclusion. These programs can provide underrepresented groups with access to role models, guidance, and support, helping them to advance in their careers and develop their skills. Other strategies include implementing diversity and inclusion metrics, creating a diversity and inclusion council, and providing resources and support for marginalized groups. The key is to find a combination of strategies that work best for your organization. Let's take a look at a successful case study of a company that effectively improved its equity and inclusion practices. For example, Salesforce has made a commitment to equal pay for equal work and has implemented a range of initiatives to promote diversity and inclusion. The company has also created an inclusive culture that celebrates diversity and promotes a sense of belonging. This has led to a significant increase in diversity among new hires and a marked improvement in employee engagement and satisfaction. Salesforce's commitment to equity and inclusion has also had a positive impact on its bottom line. The company has reported increased revenue and profitability, as well as improved customer satisfaction and loyalty. In conclusion, fostering equity and inclusion in the workplace requires a commitment to creating a fair, inclusive, and equitable environment for all employees. It's about recognizing the value of diversity and promoting a culture of respect, empathy, and understanding. Remember, creating an inclusive workplace isn't just the right thing to do. It can actually boost your bottom line. So, what steps will you take today to foster equity and inclusion in your workplace? Thanks for watching. If you've got a story to share or a strategy that's worked for your organization, please share it in the comments below. And don't forget to check out our other videos on related topics, such as diversity and inclusion in the hiring process and creating an inclusive company culture.